everyone. Thanks for joining the CaFÉ webinar and our first of 2024. My name is Justine Chappell. I'm the Communications and Marketing Manager for CaFÉ. Today, I'm going to be showing you how to manage your CaFÉ account information. As you may remember, a few months ago, we introduced some new functionality and pages to the administrator side of CaFÉ to better help you manage and update your own information and details. We also created a new user type or role, the account manager, to designate one person from each organization as the one that can access these new pages, create administrator accounts, and update any billing information. So this webinar will be geared towards account managers, as I'll be showing you these pages that only account managers can see. So if you're not the account manager for your organization's CaFÉ account, that's okay too, as you'll get to see what the role type looks like and what they can do. And I'll tell you what to do if you need to switch over your account manager. The key items that we'll cover today include understanding the account manager and administrator role types, accessing and updating profile details, accessing and updating organization and billing details, viewing and creating administrator and juror accounts, and downloading income breakdown and event management reports. Now let's dive in. You'll see that we're logged in here as an administrator. And this is where we're going to be spending most of our time today, but I do have one little slide to show you just to get you to understand these new user types that we have in CaFÉ. So as you know, we did create this new role type, the account manager, which there can be one maximum account manager per organization or per CaFÉ account, essentially. The account manager has the following permissions, so they can edit organization details, they can view and create user accounts, which includes administrators and jurors. They can manage call details and applications, administer the jury, and download reports. So they can basically do everything in CaFÉ from the administrator side. The general administrator is basically the role type that we had up until a few months ago. So you can have up to 4 general administrators in addition to the account manager. So that's 5 administrators that can log in overall. The general administrators can, do anything with the call management and applications. So viewing and creating juror accounts, that functionality still exists for them. Managing call details and applications, administering the jury, and downloading the reports. So the only thing that really changed is this new role type, and then the new role type had some additional new pages that account managers can access, which is what I'm going to show you today. Administrators or account managers have the ability to create general administrator accounts, and there is that 4 maximum, so you can create up to 4 colleagues of yours to be able to log in and access your calls and manage those entries. The CaFÉ staff can update who the account manager is. So if you're transitioning roles or if the original account manager is no longer the appropriate person to have those permissions, you can email the CaFÉ team, again, cafehelp@weststaff.org, and we can update who the account manager is. We'll just switch it over from one person to the other. The profile details page can be accessed by both account managers and general administrators. Basically, information that you can use to change your own personal administrative login and account info. So in the CaFÉ administrator side, we'll go to the top right corner and click on this icon here, this little person icon. It'll be next to your name. This is the name here for the account. You'll click on this and then click on Profile. So this will default to the profile details page. Again, if you're not the account administrator, all you will see is the profile details page. You won't see these tabs for these additional pages. So the profile details page has things that you can update for your own contact, your password, and the multi-factor authentication settings. So for the profile details, you'll start out with contact information. You'll see the organization that your account is assigned to. You'll see the status of your account, which of course is going to be active because you're able to log into it, and the user type that you are assigned to. So if you're a general administrator, it would say general administrator or, account manager. Here you can update your username. It just has to be at least 5 characters and it's not case sensitive. You can put that in there and update your username. And then you can update your first name and your last name here. The email is pretty important. This is the email that we will access if we need to send any information about your account, about your CaFÉ calls, any general CaFÉ updates and announcements. This is the email that it will be sent to. So make sure that is updated. And then again, the phone number, we don't typically use this too much, but if we do need to contact you over phone, we'll refer to this. So you can also update that if you need to. If you update any of these fields, just be sure to click the save button and you can see, if we had updated it for you or if you updated it for yourself, you can see the last time that you did that. The password fields here, it's, a separate area to change your password. So if you need to change your password, you can enter a new one and then confirm it. Make sure you click save and that will save the new password. You'll see we have, certain password parameters here. And if you do need to show the password when you're changing it, you can click this little eye icon here. Pretty self-explanatory. And then finally on this page, we have the multi-factor authentication settings. So if you don't already know, multi-factor authentication adds an extra layer of security to your CaFÉ account so that when you log in, you're logging in with both your password and an authenticator. So we have two options if you want to enable multi-factor authentication. You can either enable email. So when you enter your password and you click submit, it will then send you an email with a code that you'll enter back into CaFÉ to log in. You can also enable the app feature. So you'll download an authentication app either on your computer or your phone, and that phone will automatically generate an authentication code for you so that anytime you're logging in, you just refer to that code, enter it in, and then you're logged in. You can also disable this setting. So if you don't want to use an authentication method, you can simply disable it, and you will get reminded in 2 weeks if you either want to keep it disabled or if you want to start introducing this. We do recommend that you enable multi-factor authentication. It's just standard practice amongst internet browsing and account usage. At this time, multi-factor authentication is not required, but it could be, down the road when, things change that we might require this from every user. So just be aware of that. So that's the profile details page. Again, pretty standard, and this can be accessed by any user on CaFÉ on the administrator side. The next page I'm going to go over is the organization details page. So this is a page only accessible by account managers, and it includes the information about your organization, contract history, and call history. So I'm going to go over all of these things. The contact information that you see on the left, this is the information about, the general information for your organization, including the main contact, which we would assume is the same as the account manager. So, your first and last name should be here. But we do know that that's not always the case. Maybe the account manager is different than, the main contact for the overall CaFÉ contract service agreement. So that main contact you can adjust here if you need to. Just make sure that the email is up in the phone are updated so that we can contact you if we need anything or contact whoever the main contact is. And then your website as well. That just helps us keep track of organizations and provide information to artists, especially for the website if they request that sort of thing, even though it is something that you include on your individual calls. And then we have the billing contact information section, which is on the right-hand side. And this is for the person who should be responsible for handling anything finance related with your account. So when we invoice you for your CaFÉ calls or when we remit to you your entry fee revenue, if you accept entry fees in CaFÉ, the billing contact is what we're going to be referencing for the address and the contact for when we send those invoices or when we send those remittances out. So Now that we have this page here and we give you the ability to update the billing contact information, it's going to be up to you, the account manager, to come in here and update this info if you change addresses or have a change in who the billing contact is. You can still email the CaFÉ team to let us know that the person is being updated, but we will also ask that you come in here and change any of these fields to the appropriate information. This just makes it so that you have more control over the accurate information and that we know that we can always come here and find the most updated info. Just make sure that when you are making any changes, again, click that save button at the bottom here so that it updates in our system. When you update the billing contact information and click save, this will actually also send our finance team a notification just to give them a heads up that they need to update their records with the additional, the new billing information. You might see that you have, an upcoming renewal. So you'll see this message here. I can't remember if it's 30 or 60 days, but you'll see that if your account is about to expire. And that relates to this next section, contract history, where you can see a list of the contracts that you have with us. So as you know, CaFÉ runs on a 12-month annual subscription, and each time you renew, you sign a new contract, and it gets added to this section when that happens. So just to give you some more information about how the contracts work in CaFÉ, you have the contract ID. So this is the unique ID given to your organization. And you'll see that the first contract for this organization ends in 01, and then it just goes up from there every new contract you sign. So we don't think we asked for your contract ID too many times because we have access to it, but it might become more important with remittance statements and things like that to just reference your contract ID, and that will help you and helps us match certain records to your organization. So that's a little bit about what the contract ID is. You'll see the plan type that you have, so either small or standard, or now with our new pricing updates, we have the CaFÉ Pro and CaFÉ Plus pricing plans that when you next renew, you'll transition over to. So this section might say small or standard, or it might say CaFÉ Pro or CaFÉ Plus. The effective date obviously is when you sign the contract and it became effective, and then the expiration date tells you when that's coming up. The electronic funds transfer or EFT enrollment status tells us mainly, but also you if you enrolled and when you enrolled in EFT. So this allows us to send you your remittance statements, again, if you collect entry fees, allows us to send those remittances to you electronically instead of sending a check. So it's a really nice way to be able to receive those funds every month quicker and more easily. So if you want to enroll in EFT, you can just reach out to the team and we'll give you a form to fill out so that we can get your information. Once you're enrolled for, until you either unenroll or change your enrollment or change your information. So once you're enrolled, you're good to go. And so you'll be able to see here, that date. If you are up for a renewal or you want to get ahead of things and get your contract started for the next year, you can click Request Renewal. Request Renewal will simply send an email. It'll automatically generate and just send it to us, to the CaFÉ team, and says, 123 Gallery is ready to renew. And then we'll reach out with your contract and paperwork to get that process started. So you click Request Renewal, and that will notify the team that you're ready. And then the final section on this page here is the call history. So this allows you to see all of the calls that you've had on CaFÉ since you started your account. And it will list them all here. I think it goes in order from most recent to less recent. So you'll see all of them here. So regardless if you have events that are, current events or archived events, this just gives you all of them in one table and gives you a better look at, the calls that you have. So you'll see obviously the call name, the call ID, which helps us reference, by ID number, the open date when your call opened, and the application deadline date. You'll see the call type. So if you have, exhibitions versus residencies or workshops or whatever the case, you'll be able to see that. and the total number of apps. So this is a nice way to be able to view, how many applications you received for certain events over the years. Contract ID again, this is listed because every call needs to be associated with a contract ID. So it'll kind of tell you, which calls were under which contracts, and which, like if you have different ones that might be more recent, you'll be able to see that with a contract ID as well. And then, of course, it tells you the status of the call. So you can see which calls are technically published or which ones are not published. If it does say published, it still could be an old event. It might still be, it might also be archived. As long as the application deadline is in the past, that means that it's not accepting applications. It's just the call had been published in the past. But once you archive the event, or once you have us archive the event, it goes into the archive list. So this thing here is basically just an alternative of going to events management and individually looking up either your current calls or your archived calls. This just makes it easier to see it all in one go. So I'll go back over there. So that's the organization details page. Oh, and I forgot to mention, you can always click the request new call button. This will take you to the call request form, which is what you have to fill out when you're ready to add a call to CaFÉ. You can click that button here, or you can click it on the menu on the left. The next thing I want to show you is the account to users page. Again, this one is only accessible to account managers because you have access to view and create these account users. Again, it'll kind of tell you the maximum allowed for the organization, which is 5, including the account manager. It gives you kind of a general overview of the permissions for each user type. So if you forget what I mentioned today, you can kind of refer to that. And so then you'll see the list of account users, and it'll start with the administrator list. So these are all the administrators associated with this account. You'll have to excuse the user type here. These should say general administrator for the rest of your account types. This is a demonstration account, so all of us that are assigned to demonstrate this, we're all assigned the account manager role. So when you get in here, you would instead see, yourself if you're the account manager listed, and then the additional colleagues that you have listed as general administrators. So you can review who is an active administrator. And if you click show deactivated users, it'll switch to a list of prior general administrators. That's, what the general looks like. And these are folks that had an account for your organization and then was deactivated. If you need to reactivate an account, so maybe someone came back or maybe to switch some folks out and move them back in, you can click on view next to a user under the deactivated list. That will take you to this page where you can change the status to active. The username for the administrator would stay the same. You can update the password if you want to. Otherwise, if they know their password, they can just log in with that. And you can update their information if needed. Once you click save, they'll then be added to the active list and you'll be able to see them here. It won't let you create more than 4 general administrator accounts in addition to that account manager. So once you reach the limit, you won't be able to reactivate or add any new administrators. To add an administrator, you would just go to add new here. And this is where you'll fill out the information. So my computer right now is auto-filling some info here. So I'm going to delete those. So you'll make sure the status is active. You're going to create a username for this general administrator. Then you'll create a password as well. Then you'll put in your their first and last name, email and phone, click save, and it'll get added to the list. One thing about passwords is unless you're prepared to share that password with them in a secure way, we do recommend just putting in a temporary password. And then when you instruct your general administrator to log in, you'll give them the username. And when they log into CaFÉ, they can use the forgot password function to enter their username and email and get sent a link to set up their new password. So it's just a secure way of having passwords. But if you do want to, create and share that password with them, that's fine too. So that's how you create a new administrator account. So I'll go ahead and close this, and of course it would just get added here. You can also deactivate users. So if there's one that is not applicable anymore, you can change their status to inactive, click save, and it'll get put on the activated list or deactivated list. I'm going to actually revert that because I don't want to deactivate this person's account. All right. So that's all about creating administrator accounts. And that's a new functionality that, as of a few months ago, you can now do to be able to update who has access to your calls in CaFÉ. Again, all administrators have access to each call, every application, all the reports, and everything. So if you want to maintain who has access, this is where you come to do that. You can also click the jurors list to be able to um, come here and update any jurors for your organization. You can create as many juror accounts as you need, there's no limit. So again, it's the same process, just click add new to create a new juror. The only difference is then you also have to assign them to a specific call in order for them to actually jury something. So you can come here and just check the box next to the calls that they are supposed to jury. And when you save that information, they'll be assigned to that specific call. Again, for jurors as well, you can click to show deactivated users. This is recommended if you have a juror that hasn't juried in the past and maybe has a deactivated account. Instead of creating a new one with a separate username, just come here and see if they're on the list first and then reactivate their account if they need to. Make sure you assign them to the current call, and then they'll be good to go and they can use the same username they used in the past. You can always update their password or have them use the forgot password function on the login page to set up a new one if they, lost it or whatever. So that's, the same process for jurors. General administrators can come and create juror accounts. They just they don't have access to this page, but they can do all that with the jury section under jurors. All administrators have access to this page, which is the same list and the same functionality to be able to create juror accounts and show deactivated or reactivate old accounts. So it's just a different placement, but it's the same list, same functionality for administrators than it is for account managers. So I just want to give an overview of the reports that you can download in CaFÉ. This is something that we're not always sure if everyone is aware that you can do. So I just want to reiterate that it's a great function to be able to access additional information and manage your account. So the first report I want to show you is the income breakdown report. That's in the reports tab of your menu, and you can click income breakdown. So this is where you'll access all the income information for and basically all transaction information that artists make for your calls. This can include transactions that even if you don't collect an entry fee, they'll still be listed here because when an artist submits their entry, even though they're not paying anything, it'll still be marked as a transaction. So you can come here and you'll first set a date range for the report you want to pull. This is important because if you do collect entry fees, you might want to do this on a monthly basis to track, the revenue that you brought in for a specific month. That will then allow you to match that up with the remittance that we send you in that monthly remittance check or direct deposit. So if you are going to pull it for the month, you'll want to do it for the month prior so that you have that entire month available. So let's, for example, I can pull all of December. I already know I'm not going to get any results when I pull this, but this is just to show you. So you can pull it for the month prior. And then you can use any of these filter options to customize the report a little bit. If you do want to, match this up with your remittance check, make sure you click hide all checks. If you do accept check payments from CaFÉ, artists will have to send those payments to you directly. We don't collect them and then remit it to you. We only collect credit card transactions. So just hide those checks from the report and then keep the keep the credit card one unchecked. You can hide all zero transactions to take out those free entry fee transactions. But if you, for example, have a 100% coupon that you want to be able to see the record for, you can do that. You can hide it or unhide it. And if you're not collecting entry fees, make sure you do deselect this box so that you can actually see the information. If you were to hide the $0 transactions, you wouldn't get anything in your report if you're not collecting an entry fee. You can choose to show or hide refunds. If you have the CaFÉ team process them for you, we will, record that refund in CaFÉ, so you can choose to show those or not, whichever one works for you. And then again, hide all active calls or archived calls. Just choose the one you want. If you're only looking for an active call, just, this is essentially changing this list to be able to show you, active or archived calls. So if I were to uncheck that, now I have a couple more to choose from. When you do come to the calls section, you can choose whichever calls you're running the report for. If you just want to see how much you've brought in for a specific call, just choose the one. If you want to pull all of the entry fee revenue that you gathered, if you do have multiple calls, again, in that month prior, you would choose whichever calls were running during that time. So just make sure you choose all of them. You can choose to download the report only and skip the kind of page that pulls up on CaFÉ. So if you click download report, when you click run, it will just automatically download that spreadsheet for you. If you know your report is going to be really large, you have hundreds and hundreds of transactions from the month or whenever you're running the report for, you can click email report. What that will do is when you click run report, in the background, the report will be generated, but it might take some time. So instead of having you sit on this page, the CaFÉ system will just send you an email to your account email address, an email with the report ready to download. So this is helpful if you know it's going to be a large report. Instead of sitting on this page and letting it load before it downloads, just click email and it will, send you that email when it's ready. When you click run report, mine's not going to show up anything right now because I don't have anything in the month prior. It will pull that up. So let me set this back a little bit so I can show you what this would look like. Let's just go back a couple years. Oh, I don't have anything in there either. Let's see. Oh, I need to uncheck these ones. Okay. So this is kind of what the report will look like when you look at it in CaFÉ. You'll see that, every gray versus white and gray, those are all noting one transaction made by a particular artist. So you'll see the, artist name that applied or submitted, the transaction date and the transaction ID number. So that's how you can differentiate. You'll see here that, for example, this artist checked out with 2 calls at the same time. That's what CaFÉ is great about, is being able to apply and check out with multiple applications at a time. So that's why you see, 2 calls listed here. And the description from each product kind of helps you keep track of which calls they apply to or which entry fees or member fees or other products they're paying for. The details section gives you some information about that transaction in terms of, their payment method. So this one is a $0 transaction. So it's really just providing some dummy or automatically generated codes. But if they did pay by credit card, you'll see some other information here. The approval code is what we'll use if we need to submit a refund. So if you are filling out that refund request form, this is where you come to access that approval code for that credit card payment. The licensee here, that's just the name of your organization, and it helps, us keep track of what organization that transaction belongs to. So you can review the information here, and as you can see, we have a lot of $0 transactions since this is a demo account. I will also mention that if you do have a coupon and then an artist used that coupon, it will be shown in this section here. It'll tell you what coupon is used. So that's really handy. Oh, here we go. Here's what the coupon looked like. Coupon used. And if you do include checks in your report, you'll see the check number that the artist put in when they submitted their application. Obviously, they have to then submit that check payment to you, and you can use this to verify that you received the check. At the bottom of the report, you'll see the income for the period. So period meaning the date range that I selected on the report at the top. So it'll tell me, how many transactions, how much I collected, the credit card fee total, and the net amount. So I can't remember. I think it's Might have gone up from 3.25%, but it's at least 2.25% credit card fees that are removed from each transaction to then be paid to our third party payment processor. So you'll see that number here, and then the net amount is what you will receive in your remittance for the report. So take a look at the net amount, and you'll see as well like the breakdown between credit card payments and check payments. Pending means the checks that have been not received. So it'll show you the total amount for checks and then how much is still pending, which means you haven't yet marked that check as received in the events management table or for that application. And then down below, it'll show you the same kind of information, but split out per call that you ran the report for. So you'll see that breakdown and how, different calls are bringing in different income. Again, that net amount column is what you're going to want to refer to if you're matching this to your remittance report. Just remember that when you're looking at that remittance statement, I should say, when you're looking at that statement, not only will it reflect the net amount, but that statement might also reflect any CaFÉ service fees due to us, which could be, the cost of your call. It could be the per application fee, which is that $2 per application fee if you're on the current small plan, and includes and that remittance statement might also include any other fees that are owed to us, or the $3 per video or audio. So those fees, your net amount here might not directly equal the amount on your remittance statement because there might be some other fees owed to us. And once you look at this report, if you want to download it in spreadsheet format or any of these formats, you can choose that and click to download, and that will download as a spreadsheet. So this report is really handy to keep transaction information. You can download it and save it for your own records, and you can access this and share it with anyone that might need it for your organization. It's really handy to come in here, and this can also help you, verify who has applied. In addition to going and looking at those individual applications, you can just run the report and see who applied in a certain period of time. We also have a couple of reports under this page. The events data report is simply just a snapshot of your particular call. Let's take a look. And it just tells you, how many applications, how many images and video. So it just kind of gives you at a glance look. And then the events communication bounce report. This is used if you send communications through CaFÉ, you can run a report for any bounces. So if any email address is bounced, you can see that here. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to pull up any results, which is a good thing, meaning, any reports that here's some, these are from old users or incorrect email addresses. It will show up like this, and you can go and troubleshoot that with the artist to make sure that their email address is updated, so long as you have another way to contact them. And then finally, for general account management and application management, you can download some reports for individual calls. So if you go to events management and you pull up the call that you're going to access, and then you can pull up the applications either by individual statuses, or you can click to view all. We have these reports on the right hand side that you can download to help kind of, again, save information for your own reference, or to access certain segments of information from your applicants. So under download spreadsheet here, you can download the contact information spreadsheet, which gives you the name, email address, contact info for individual artists that applied to this call, and gives you that info to be able to access that. Let's say you do want to send out an email, but not through CaFÉ, you can access their email addresses through here. You can download the application answer spreadsheet. This will provide you with, that basic contact information for each artist, but also provides you the answers that they submitted to you when they filled out their application. So these are things, like when you created your application form, it'll give you all those answers, in addition to like if you have collected artist statements or anything like that, it'll give you their application info. Media information will download a report of the individual work samples that the artist submitted and gives you the details for them. It doesn't actually download the images, it just downloads the record of the details they provided, such as the artwork title, the price, the dimensions, the description, those kinds of things. And it will also be tagged with the artist's name and their ID number. So that's where you can access, information if you want to. If you're creating, artwork labels for your show or anything like that, you can reference that here. You can also reference that information in one of the PDF reports, which is the media inventory list. This is what it looks like. So it'll give you, a little thumbnail preview of what the image looks like, the artwork sample, I should say. And that same information that the artist provided about that work sample, it will give you all that here in kind of more of a PDF format so that maybe you want to print this out and use it as you're hanging your show or receiving artwork. You can kind of check things off as they come in and have that visual reference. You can also download the applications PDF by going to this here, and you can run it for the jury, which would hide some key contact information, or for just the administrator. And this downloads the applications, but instead of like a grid format, it gives you each individual application on a separate page. So it starts with the artist's information, the custom answers to the questions that you ask them on the application, their artist statement if you activated that option, the category, and then again their artwork info there. So it's basically just a really long PDF because it's one application at a time. I also want to show you how you can, for example, download an individual application. So you can also download the reports for just, one specific artist. So let me reset my search results here. And let me just search up, one application. Maybe I have a couple, few applications for this one artist, but let's just say, for example, this artist reached out to me and they want a PDF version of the application they submitted, or they wanted, or you just wanted to download that one application. So you can search for the artist, and if they have multiple applications, just take their ID number that's listed here for that specific, it clicked and went into the application. But again, I'll take that application here. This is a good way to show you, this is the, online view of their application. But if I go to the list and I take that application ID number and I put it into this field, I click search, then it'll only bring me up that one application. Okay, great, that's the one I want to download. Then let's say I download the PDF applications report for an administrator. I open that up, and this just gives me that one PDF for this one application. You can see it looks like the one that I was just showing you. It's just in this PDF form. So if you need to access the information or the PDF for just one artist, this is how you do that. You essentially just search for that one artist in your applications table here, find that artist, and download the report. All right, so that's how you download those reports, and I hope those are helpful. It's just easy to be able to download those things in case you need to access them in a different way or share them with folks. You can do that. I see a question in the chat. The question is, which email is used for the two-factor authentication? Good question. It's the email for your profile. So if I go back to the profile details, it's this email here. So any email that's associated with your account, which is this one, that will be the one that is used when you enable the email authentication. Could I show how to change the status all at once for a single applicant? Well, so to change the status for an applicant, let's say I go here, you would just change the status dropdown, and that's just for a single applicant. But I guess if you have multiple, let's take a look here, change. I'll put, I have 3 applications here for the same artist, and I can change all applications to, and I'll change it to, whichever that needs to go to, accepted or not invited. I can click that and it'll change those 3. So if there's 10 images for one artist, and if you are collecting images in a separate application, that's the process. You would first find the artist, pull up all their applications like you're seeing here, all the applications for the one artist, and then change all of the applications, meaning all the applications above, to whichever status. Yes, so this only applies to any applications that are visible on this page. No longer is it just moving it from one status to the other. You might remember that. Now it's like whatever search criteria or filter options that you use here, you'll just bulk change those. So this concludes our webinar on how to manage your account in CaFÉ. I hope account managers and general administrators alike got a good review of what has been updated in CaFÉ and what you can do to better access and manage your own information. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to our team. Thanks again for joining us, and be sure to join our next webinar next month.